Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trace Girouard, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. First things first, we're going to break down, is Derek Carr getting cut? He said some crazy stuff and had a pretty funny take at the Pro Bowl. We're going to get into that, break it all down for you. And should the Saints go and sign him if he makes it to free agency? We're also going to break down my first-round draft target, and I've been seeing you guys in the comments section asking, where's the shout-outs? Where are they coming? They're going to be at the end of today's video. So stick around, see if you get a shout out in today's video if you're one of our subscribers. But let's get into the nitty gritty of things. Adam Schefter reporting this. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr said he has no intention of extending the February 15th trigger date on his contract to give the team additional time to resolve his situation. So this leads me to believe, could Derek Carr get cut? Because I know that he's in the Pro Bowl, and there's this crazy thing that my guy Mitchell Renz talked about, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that. But Jeremy Fowler, I think, did a great job of explaining why he thinks Derek Carr could get cut. He said a league exec openly wondered this week whether the Raiders could cut Derek Carr before he participates in the Pro Bowl flag football game Sunday, since an injury there could trigger his $40.4 million guarantee early. And our guy, Mitchell Renz, he broke this down. He tweeted this out. He said, according to the CBA, if Derek Carr is injured playing in the Pro Bowl, the Raiders would have to pay his 2023 salary. With Derek Carr headed to the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, benching DC, I wouldn't be shocked if Carr is not on the Raiders come February 5th. So this means today's February 3rd. So this, if he's cut, it's happening in the next couple of days. And if you remember, Derek Carr was benched for Jarrett Stidham because the Raiders did not want him to get hurt so they could potentially trade him. So before we get into could he get cut, I'm a little bit more into that. What do you think? I want to get the gauge of the Who Dat Nation. Do you think that Derek Carr will get cut? Type C for cut. Type T for trade. Like, no, he's going to get traded because he's not going back to Vegas. We all know that. And honestly, my take, I'd consider it. I really would. I'd consider Derek Carr if he got cut. And if it was for a trade, God, no. I mean, sure, he's a good maybe bridge guy for you before you bring in a long-term answer. But I think if you could go and get him in free agency, that's an option that I actually kind of like because you wouldn't have to give up assets. You just have to give him a new contract. And let's be honest, we all know money's going to be leaving and money's going to be coming back in during this offseason. So I think you at least explore it, and I think you at least look into it. My concerns are he hasn't won in the postseason. And at the end of the day, postseason success is the most important success. You got to get to the postseason, but you also have to win in the postseason. And we all know that Drew Brees was a phenomenal quarterback. My guy Patrick Seaman and I over here were talking about it before we started filming. One of the greatest of all time, without question. But he only had that one Super Bowl, and I want to see the Saints find success. However, I will say this, Derek Carr did take a dumpster fire team in the Las Vegas Raiders to the playoffs in 2021. Do you remember all the crazy things that were happening between Henry Ruggs, all sorts of other crazy stuff? They had players getting hurt. They had coaches getting fired. I mean, it was just a mess. It was an absolute dumpster fire and a mess, and he still took them to the postseason. So I'm going to kind of take back my take of he's not great. He's extremely good. And I think he's good. I'm not going to say he's extremely average. I think he's a good quarterback, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm sold on him. But this is important. Raiders and Aaron Rodgers buzz is getting really hot right now. Originally, Tom Brady was highly rumored to go to the Raiders to replace Derek Carr. But as we know, Brady retired, thank God. And we also know that Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams had a nice little thing going. Either way, we're going to stay on top of this, and Saints rumors are getting absolutely crazy, and they're only going to get crazier. So if you want to stay informed, you got to hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we're also in the midst of a sub battle. We are on a race to 15,000 subscribers. We picked up over 150 subs since we started this sub battle, and I want to shout out every single one of you in the Who Dat Nation who has hit the big red sub button. Please join the squad, join our channel, Saints videos by Saints fans, for Saints fans. I'm in a sub battle with my guy Patrick Seaman over at Vikings Now. We're trying to get to 15K first, so help us out. Subscribe for Saints news and rumors all off season long. All right, this is kind of crazy. So this was the Derek Carr saying something crazy at the Pro Bowl. He was asked, Derek, you've been really heating it up here at the Pro Bowl. What's been going on? Like, why are you so hot? And he said, well, if I would stay this hot, it's probably why I'm going somewhere else. He didn't stay this hot during the regular season. Probably why I'm going somewhere else. And as we know, Derek Carr has been highly linked to the Saints. And even more on Derek Carr. This comes in from my guy, Mitchell Renz. He knows everything and anything about the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was telling me Vegas is not letting Derek Carr or his agent talk to teams currently because Vegas is worried that his agent will talk free agency rather than trades, and that means the Raiders will not get anything for a trade compensation or for a trade package. And if you look at what Derek Carr did this past season, 60.8 completion percentage, 3,500 yards in the air, 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. And the Raiders were a mess this year. They weren't a great team. They had a lot of issues. The coaching was iffy. Derek Carr wasn't playing his best ball. But that being said, he's better than what you got in Andy Dalton. And in the current cap situation, the Saints are currently about $60 million over the cap. And as I said earlier, you can expect guys like Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston to more likely be cut after the June 1 deadline, and that would free up a lot of money. And you might be asking, well, how's that going to work right now if Derek Carr is going to get cut here in the next couple days, if he does get cut? Well, you can always, sign him, cut guys, move money around. The Saints front office is not new, and they are very familiar with moving money around and making things work. But what's the price for Derek Carr? And shout out this graphic because this is kind of a sick graphic with Derek Carr in the Saints uniform. The price, if you trade for Derek Carr, he's owed about $33 million if you were to trade for him. However, if you cut him, you get to give him a new contract. That's something that I would explore, and that's something that I'm pretty interested in at the end of the day. And if you take a look at some quarterback draft targets, here's just 5, just in no order, 5 quarterback draft targets. Hendon Hooker, I've talked about him in great extent. Y'all know my thoughts on him. We're going to get into him a little bit later in this video. Will Levis, out of Kentucky. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's a good quarterback. I don't want him on my team. Anthony Richardson, freak athlete, also had like 6, 7, 8 games he didn't have a touchdown pass. That shouldn't go unnoticed. I don't think that gets talked about enough. Anthony Richardson's definitely a project. I don't know if I'd want him on my team. He's a good athlete. He's a pretty good football player, but at the end of the day, I want somebody who can come and help my team right now. Tanner McKee out of Stanford, it's all right. You could probably get him in the second round with that number 40 overall pick if you wanted to use the first-round pick for a running back, defensive tackle, safety, whatever. Malik Cunningham out of Louisville, also a freak athlete. He's a sleeper. He's somebody who I expect to be climbing draft boards as pro days and as combines and stuff to pick up throughout the offseason. I expect his draft stock to rise. But I want to hear from you guys. Would you sign Derek Carr in free agency? Earlier we asked, do you think he's getting traded or cut? And now we're going to ask, if he does get cut, would you sign Derek Carr? Type S for sign, type P for pass. You might get hit with the YouTube ad break here. And let me know, would you sign Derek Carr? And also, if you want to bet on anything throughout the NFL offseason, college baseball, college basketball, NBA, the Pels are on a 10-game losing streak. You could maybe bet that they'll lose 10 more. I don't know. You can do what you want to do. Either way, go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code CHAT125. You get 125% deposit bonus, meaning you put in $100, they give you 125. That means you have $225 of cheddar to game with. Lay it down on whatever you want. Join me in laying down some bets. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125. All right. So my take on all of this. Hendon Hooker is my number 1 draft target in the first round. He really is. You have to be realistic. You ain't going to get a Bryce Young. You ain't going to get C.J. Stroud. You ain't going to get Will Levis because for some reason he's probably going to go in the top 10. Anthony Richardson, maybe he falls. But again, I really like what I've seen out of Hendon Hooker. We'll show the stats here in a little bit. But I honestly wouldn't hate signing Derek Carr and having him help develop Hendon Hooker. Because I'd rather have Derek Carr develop him than Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, he's Andy Dalton. He is exactly what you're going to get. But when you take a look at what Hendon Hooker did this past season, 69.6 completion percentage, 3,100 yards in the air. Craziest thing. 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year. He had 5 interceptions in his 2 years at Tennessee, and he had less than 12 in his entire 5-year college career. Unbelievable, great decision-making, and I love what I've seen out of Hendon Hooker. And if he can't beat you in the air, he can beat you on the ground. And the Saints fans have been saying, we want a dual-threat quarterback. This is a guy who can be a dual-threat quarterback. 104 carries for 430 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. And here's the thing. In today's NFL, I see so many people saying, he has that ACL injury that he suffered against South Carolina. He's old. He's not going to start until he's 27. Quarterbacks are protected in today's NFL more than any other position and any other time in the NFL's history. They also play a very, very long time. Do I need to remind you about who just retired in Tom Brady? Do I need to remind you about a great and who is still playing at a pretty good level, Aaron Rodgers? I'm just saying quarterbacks can play longer terms. And here's the other thing about the injury. I'm not even that concerned about it. Crazy thought, I'm not. Modern medicine is incredible. He could have a very long career. And this is just an easy comparison. Frank Gore. Do you remember him? Do you remember how long he played NFL football? He played for like 75 years. It's unbelievable. He suffered a torn right meniscus during a spring practice while he was at Miami, and he also suffered a torn ACL versus West Virginia, and then proceeded to go and have an incredibly long and incredibly successful NFL career. I think that Hendon Hooker is somebody you should definitely consider taking in the first round, because I don't know if he falls to that 40th overall pick, especially after combines and workouts and updates on his injury status come in. There's a big gap. There's a very large gap between pick 29 and pick 40. I think if you want to guarantee you go get your quarterback, I hate to say it, I think you got to take Hendon Hooker in the first round. I like Hendon Hooker a lot. I really think he's a phenomenal quarterback prospect, and I know a lot of y'all are pretty high on him as well. But I want you guys to weigh in on the two quarterbacks we talked about today. Would you rather have Derek Carr, type DC, or would you rather have Hendon Hooker, type HH? Let me know in the comment section, and we also have shout-outs to give to the real ones, to the subscribers, to the Golden Gang. Mikey Taylor, Courtney Kieranton, King Oliver, Larry Holmes, Christian Parker. As always, I appreciate every single one of you, but I appreciate you five the most for commenting on every single video, for liking every single video, for being a subscriber, and for being an absolute real one. Thank you for being a part of the Golden Gang. Who Dat Nation, it's always a pleasure. I'll catch you next time. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you later.